there is one idea for a video I was wanting to talk about, and this ain't really, on anybody in particular, but I keep noticing it a lot when it comes down to how certain content creators kind of react to certain things when it comes to Genshin and its story and how certain things could potentially happen. And I'm not really like, mad when it comes down to the wild and ideas that people have for this game and stuff like that. Enjoy the game how you want to enjoy it. And if you're gonna criticize the game for what it does and all that type of stuff, perfectly fine. But I'm not gonna sit here and lie. When people start expecting, oh yeah, Hoyoverse should do this and this character will be like this and the story should go like in this way and that way, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. You're setting yourself up for failure. Like, I'm just gonna keep very much say, there is plenty of times where I watch content creators, kind of talk about this stuff, where it's like, oh man, I really hope this character turns out to be this way, and it turns out to be the opposite, and people getting pissed off and mad. And I learned very quickly, or at least very much in my later life as of current, which is like, oh yeah, just don't really sit here and expect people to do anything. In fact, just don't have any expectations whatsoever. Because I promise you, you'll be less disappointed in life and not surprised at any action that anybody does when it comes down to expectations. Because you have it so damn low that you don't really care about any damn thing. And then when something does happen that does shock you, it's like, wow, they actually did this? It's like smelling weed in a police station. Who did that? But when it comes down to it though, that's pretty much the point. Because I've seen, Brand Online also kind of do this too. Especially with his takes on Varka. And I'm not saying that, oh, Varka can't be this buff-ass, chiseled-ass, long-bearded, shaggy dude-looking ass dude. Like, he can absolutely look like that. But also, it would not surprise me if Hoyo is like, you know what? We'll make his ass a twink if that's what they want to do. Because at the end of the day, we have not seen any playable character be basically old, chiseled as hell, and having a long, majestic beard or some shit like that. And I highly doubt we'll actually get something like that. Because that's just not how Genshin operates. It's really not. Hell, even when it came down to something like, ZZZ to a point, we didn't really get a character like that. The only character that came close to that I legit thought, oh shit, if he's playable, I'm here for it, which was the guy that was like an overlord in, the Sons of Caledon quest, right? That was like the only time I was like, damn, if he was playable, I think Pompeii, if he was playable, hell yeah, give me that shit immediately. And I'll keep it very much a stack. There isn't many male characters I'll really want to just sit here and pull for, right? Unless they look absolutely cool and they look absolutely just go to the shit, then yeah, I'm here for it. But a lot of times I'm not really there for it. And I think Hoyoverse knows that, because let's really kind of take this back, for example. Let's not even think about Hoyoverse, for example. Let's think about Super Smash Bros., for example. When it comes down to it, when Kazuya came in to Smash as a Tekken representative, do you think children or, people that are younger are gonna sit here and want to play old-ass man Heihachi? Or, like, cooler Kazuya? I feel like people would choose Kazuya, right? And don't get me wrong, yes, Heihachi is obviously like, buff as hell, does some impossible shit, very much wild and crazy, but at the very same time, I don't want to play an old ass man. I don't care to play an old ass man. It's not necessarily something I would want to do. Or someone that looks just bearded to shit. I don't really care for that, And ultimately, that's possibly why they went with Kazuya, because they're like, oh yeah, that guy's kind of cooks, isn't he? He's kind of goat status, ain't he? But he's also not necessarily someone that's like super shit with their power and abilities. Because let's keep it very much that the reason why Jin wasn't in like Smash at all is mainly due to the fact that possibly he couldn't control his whole, devil power maybe. And maybe lore-wise, that's the reason why, until Tekken 8, obviously. But when it comes down to it, Kazuya knew what he was doing. He knew how to do, really kind of do the shit with his whole devil powers and all that stuff. So if anybody's gonna be a good representative, and literally the first character ever really to matter hardcore in a Tekken game, in terms of story, and what Tekken's actually about, it should be Kazuya. And now fast forward a bit in time, and there is often times for games and just shows and things and stuff in general where you have these characters that you could use, like these old man characters or these really creepy and weird looking characters, can come through, be some actual important characters, but ultimately get replaced by, you know, maybe like someone that's younger looking or someone that's less chiseled and stuff like that. Like, hell, if you really think about it, Dragon Ball also went through this type of problem too in the Android saga, because you had 19 and 20. They were legit going to be the ultimate antagonists of that whole arc. And then ultimately it was changed to 17 and 18 because really, you want some old ass man and some freaky ass clown robot to be like the main bad guys? Like, that doesn't sit right with me. And so essentially it was changed to what we have currently, you know? So again, it's kind of like, there is definitely people that don't mind it, but then there's also a lot of people and even companies that wouldn't necessarily sit here and just be like, yeah, we don't want an old ass person to be something that, you know, we really care for. And I'm pretty sure a fair majority of people do not care for an old chisel ass man, right? So when it comes down to it, for me personally, if I were to expect anything, which I don't, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. What was that? I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I wouldn't mind Varka being some clean shaven guy, but has this air of authority with him. I don't know. Just kind of like having some real ass hair or something like that. More real than what we've seen before. Or just in some shape and form, kind of just wield a claymore or something like that. Or just a badass sword and just kind of do crazy ass things that we never seen before. Or something of the sort, right? He doesn't need to be some bearded ass, oh, I'm King Vegeta looking ass type of dude. He doesn't need to be that. It's in my personal opinion. But as long as he's badass, as long as he has some badass abilities and kind of dope as shit, that's all I can really ask for. Because here's the thing, right? I don't pull for male characters often, nor do I use them or care about them that hard. But there was one exception to that rule, and that was Nouvellette. Nouvellette is just that damn good. And I guess the reason why I like Nouvellette a lot is because the style of Nouvellette when it comes down to it. The man literally was dripped to hell when it comes down to it. Man's literally just looks so damn... Honestly, if I was a chick, I'd want him to clap the shit out of me. I'm just gonna be real. That is how ultimately I felt about Nouvellette. Plus, he has some bonuses, like his voice actor, Ray Chase. Amazing on the sticks. If you played Final Fantasy 15 and you've seen Noctis's whole character and heard his voice, you know where that voice come from. Or Kingdom Hearts with the Master of Masters. Kind of hard to hate the guy. Kind of hard to hate the guy personally, right? And then Nouvellette also comes off as this very powerful figure, but at the end of the day, he's not really wanting to be like that too much, right? He just kind of do what he do and kind of enjoys the time that he has when it comes down to just everything else, but he has a hella big wrath against the gods and wants to murder them in the best possible way for him. So he kind of go crazy. But at the very same time, Nouvellette for the most part is chill as hell. I like him more than Risley and pretty much any other male character in the game, right? The only male character I would say that's pretty damn good that I enjoy would possibly be Zhongli, which is ironic, I put those two characters together like that. But when it comes down to it though, Zhongli is an old ass, like Archon god of some sort. And essentially, man's been around here for so damn long. He's been on Sabbath for a long ass period of time. But he didn't necessarily look like an old ass man. If Zhongli looked like an old ass man, rough as hell, I promise you, he would not have been as popular as many people made him out to be today, right? If they went for an older look of his design, no one would give a shit. I'm gonna be honest. No one would give a shit, right? That's if also, like, let's say for example too, that'd be like if they said, oh, Madam Ping is playable now, right? Let's just say she's playable. You want to play old ass Madam Ping? You want to play the old ass version of her? I don't. I want to play the more Adepti version of her, where she was a bit younger looking and things sort of like that. Because all it was is just a change of appearances. I highly doubt she looks actually that effing old when it comes down to it. So if she can change her appearance, I wouldn't hate that for maybe like next year's Lantern Rite or some shit like that. If Madam Ping want to become playable, I'm here for it. I'm not going to sit here and lie. So ultimately, you know, there is reasons why you don't get old, chiseled looking ass characters all the time. Because, or at least really ever, because plenty of people would not really care for that too much, you know? That's just ultimately how it is. It comes down to a taste of design, and Hoyoverse a lot of time will choose more the younger looking guy or the sexy and maybe cuter looking girl, and that's really all you're gonna get. And yes, they're gonna choose more female characters over male characters being made because female characters sell more, because they can be used for a variety of reasons as to why you should pull for them. Whether you think someone like Veresa or Yelan is sexy as shit, where you think someone like Yao Yao and Chi Chi is cute as hell, where you think, you know, some characters like, I guess, like Xinyan or Yunjin might resonate with you, for example. I don't necessarily know what the hell it could be for your reasoning, but at the end of the day, you're not getting characters that are going to be like that, you know? So in terms of that much of, you know, of expectations, I can't speak right today, when it comes down to it, I don't really see them doing Varka the same way. That would be like, oh, a really good, another example is when you have people like thinking, oh, Chevalanque is going to be, you know, some crazy looking guy. And he probably was when he was alive, but he's not alive anymore. So they're not going to put him in the same exact body that they probably envisioned him to be in. No. That's boring as hell. So they put him inside of, or at least the ghost, or at least the soul of Chevalanque inside of a damn child. Of course they're going to do that. Why the hell would you think they wouldn't do that? Why would you think that, right? And plus, let's keep very much a stack, because Genshin and really a lot of what Hoyoverse has in terms of animation and style, a lot of that pretty much is, you know, coming from Japan and how anime is and things sort of like that, where Japan has no problems with doing any of these type of tropes and stuff like that. And if you're not well versed in anime, you're probably not gonna necessarily, you know, care too much for all these type of things and stuff like that, like the assistants from the Isa bathhouse that Mizuki works for, where the shorter girl is the older chick and the taller girl is the younger chick. Of course it is, because it's derived from freaking anime. Of course it's going to be like that. Who the hell else would think it wouldn't be like that? You know, it just, again, it's a bit annoying when people do kind of be on that type of time, like, oh, I hate this shit. Like, you might hate it and that's fine, but please do expect it, because that's probably going to be the damn case. For all we know, anybody in the Hexen Circle, hell, Alice for example, could basically be Klee size. We don't know. We'll probably see something soon of Alice, I'm hoping, but at the end of the day, we don't know. I wouldn't necessarily sit here and be surprised or mad if that's what they decided to do, because that's what I expect from them at this point in time. If they don't do that, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But in terms of everything else, that's ultimately how it is. The Hexen Circle should technically, if we're gonna be real and just be genuinely honest, could be a circle of old ass hags. They all could be old as shit, and they all should probably look like some ancient buried bones. But at the end of the day, they could probably be a whole host of lolly. They could be a regular teenage looking character like Mona maybe, and maybe they might just look like a regular ass adult character. That's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, you know, you never really know what they're going to decide on. And I highly doubt they'll have anybody at the Hexen Circle look old as shit and look their age. You know, the same way I highly doubt we'll get a character that looks old as dirt and dirty as hell. So that's just ultimately how it is, right? So, and that's just one form of expectancy, because, you know, that's like the main one I really want to cover. There's also like lore and story expectancy, and that's also kind of the reason why I don't look at theories a lot, because a lot of the time it's, you know, derived from real life content and stuff like that. And when it comes down to it, I don't want to get spoiled because, oh, I looked at, like, I don't know, Ashikai's theory and then ultimately ruin a storyline like I did in Fontaine, when I thought, oh, how does Fontaine work? Let me look at this theory. And then ultimately the damn story was kind of ruined for me because I found out how it happened earlier and it sucks. Not saying that Ashikai's theory sucked or anything like that, just saying that, yeah, man, I really should not have looked at that theory to just keep my own self in suspense for what the hell is happening. Because when it comes to things like lore in particular, that's where a lot of expectations go crazy. People will be like, oh, I hope this patches this thing and that thing, and then we learn this and that. When 9 times out of 10, it could be not that of what you expect, and ultimately you're gonna feel disappointed, and you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna drop the game and all that type of stuff. And it's not really the game's fault, it's kind of more you because you expected something. Granted, again, you can criticize, and that's fine, but at the end of the day, don't go in with many expectations. The reason why I've been able to enjoy Genshin for as long as I have, even with stories that don't really matter, is because I had no expectations. So if I think a story is goofy, I think it's goofy. If it's badass, I think it's badass. So that's ultimately how I basically take in everything. Same thing with Kingdom Hearts. I don't know what the hell is going to happen in the next chapter of the stories, and every time I play something, I'm like, oh, well, I wasn't expecting this, but it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't that good either. And kind of determine what I feel for each and every moment in that moment. Like, I just basically kind of like just live in the present of what is happening here. Don't have any mind of your own, just go in blank as hell, and then just be on the type of time of, all right, what do you have? I'm just ready to experience what the hell is going on. And that's essentially all I kind of got when it comes down to, you know, expectations and things like that. And again, and just in life in general, just have no expectations of anything, and you won't be really surprised of how people are and things and sort of like that is ultimately, because it's just like, oh, someone did something terrible and is now a criminal. I didn't have any expectations of you, so I pretty much am not surprised. And that's literally how I am for most things, right? Very rarely am I actually surprised by some weird ass action that people do. Like, sometimes I am, but oftentimes I'm not. And that's just how I kind of perceive things. But ultimately, that is what I wanted to say for this one, so hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on else. Also follow me on socials, and let the donate to the channel. Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's been Boy J, signing off. Have a blessed day.